Hey everybody, Nick here, and today, Kevin Cleary, another YouTuber, check him out, recently challenged me to do a video giving my predictions for the 2018 release year. So you know, we're coming up upon SHOT Show, which for some reason knife companies release products at. Don't quite grok that one, but hey, whatever. Nonetheless, but he did a video predicting what we would see there, and I don't know a damn thing. I mean, I guess I'm a scientist. I don't have enough data to predict anything right now, so what I'm going to do instead is kind of riff on the idea. Instead, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I hope that we see out of all of the major knife brands out of SHOT Show. And I've kind of gone through the list of exhibitors, figured out who all is going to be there, and then I'll just talk a little bit about what I see and what I hope to see coming out of these companies from SHOT Show. So number one on the list, this is alphabetical in case you didn't notice. Number one on the list is Almar Knives. This is a company that they're sitting on a treasure trove of incredible designs, but unfortunately they have this habit of using steels that are just not very good. They get every little bit of mileage out of Aussate that they can, but they're just not doing it. And so what I really desperately hope to see from Almar is for them to just catch up and say, oh, wait a second. Hold on, metallurgy has progressed in the last 20 years. Let's try something new. Because I think they could be selling incredible, if they keep the same price, just move to M390 or something, they could be selling a bazillion ultralight Falcons. That's an incredible knife, but they just need to get that value right, and I think getting the materials right is number one. And so that's what I hope to see from Almar. I don't think we're going to see that, mind you, but that's what I hope to see. Next is Benchmade on the list alphabetically. Benchmade is a great company that did well, they've had a little bit of trouble in the past, but there were two things I'm hoping that we get to see out of Benchmade. Number one is I'm hoping that they continue on the success of the Proper. The Benchmade Proper slip joint is a great little knife, and more importantly, it's a knife that's aimed at people who live everyday boring lives. It's not a high-speed, low-drag tactical tool. It is just something that you use to cut open boxes. I hope that as they continue to release new things, they're going to continue creating knives in that line that are really focused squarely at your everyday Joe rather than your high-speed, low-drag operators or even your crazy outdoorsmen climbing rocks and whatnot. I love that idea, and I'd love to see them continue down that path. Mind you, we've already seen their catalog, which had a lot of mini stuff, which is kind of focused in that area, but no clear sequels, but I'm hoping they may have something stay and in reserve there from Benchmade, but that's my desire. Next up is Chris Reeve Knives. So Chris Reeve Knives, the creator, former creator of the Tie Lock. Well, actually, the Hawks created it. They built it. Anyways, they killed this knife off, sadly. What I'm hoping to see out of Chris Reeve is something new. Mind you, I do not mean by something new, oh, we're going to take a Menandi and we're going to put an Insingo blade on it. That's not new. I don't mean, oh, we're going to make a Shabazz but bigger. That's not new. I want to see something that is completely and totally different. Something that I never would have expected to see out of Chris Reeve Knives, or just something that's like, wow, okay, this is something I want to consider again. Because right now, they are just staying in one place. They are completely and totally static. They are making Shabazzes and Shabazz variants, and if they want to be the Shabazz variant company, that's fine. But unfortunately, by staying in the same place, they're starting to slip behind, and that's really making me a little bit sad. Because if they keep doing that and doing that and doing that, eventually they're going to fade into irrelevance, basically. They'll be the one people who make that one knife, and then, but no one really cares. And so I hope that they do get their mojo back, so to speak, and try something brand new. Try something that makes the knife world take notice and think, oh, Chris Reeve, they're doing interesting stuff, rather than, oh, Chris Reeve, yeah, they make that Shabazz. So that's my dream there. Mind you, not a prediction, but it's a dream. CRKT. Look, I have no idea what they're going to do. Actually, I do. I've seen their catalog. Everybody has seen their catalog. It's on Knife News. What I dream and what I hope and what I think the world is ready for is a higher-end CRKT series. I've said this on a number of occasions, but they've dropped in the last year or so a number of designs that are really incredible. Things like the home front, things like the Anso one, the Pilar. Knives that are just like, wow, this is a great knife. If only it were done just a little bit better for a slightly better price point. And I really do hope that we are going to one of these days see that. This is, again, not a prediction, but a dream, a hope, a fondest desire. I hope that we're going to see out of CRKT a higher class trim level. That will make a CRKT Pilar, but with titanium scales and the, CPM 154 blade or something like that. They don't have to go completely extravagant. I'm not talking like Benchmade gold class Timascus stuff. I'm just saying, taking it up a notch on these really popular, well-selling designs. I think it would be a way for them to basically print money, given their design portfolio. Things like the Jettison, they could do so much. But that's something I hope that we see. Unfortunately, I suspect their current catalog is just looking like a whole bunch more ROS-8 and, 8CR13 MOV and some attractive designs, but that's what I'd like to see there. Hinderer knives, I'm actually really optimistic for right now. I've said many times, Rick Hinderer is among my favorite knife designers. He has a great sense of a whole bunch of things. There's the Hinderer half-track, by the way. Review's going to be coming up, well, it won't air for a while, but I'm going to be reviewing it soon, because looking forward to that. But look, they've done some things that are really impressing me lately. The Hinderer slip joint. That review is going to be coming up before too long here. And that's a really neat piece. And it's really outside of their bailiwick. And similarly, they've recently done a skinny version of the XM24, which takes the XM24 and just shrinks that blade stock a little bit. And I love that idea because it seems like they're starting to see what's going on. And also, the Hinderer Slippy was on phosphor bronze washes. I think that they're seeing what's going on, and they're starting to change their trajectory a little bit. They're always going to make high-speed, low-drag things, but God, if they made a skinny version of the half-track with this kind of design and a blade that actually did, and this isn't the worst in terms of cutting, but a blade that was really ground, oh man, that'd be great. So what I'm hoping to see out of Hinderer is what I think I'm already starting to see, which is a little bit more drift in towards your average knife person rather than your first responders, etc. They can continue, of course, doing that, but I'd love to see a little bit more of that in the future, and I think they're already heading there. So if that drift continues, that's great. Kershaw is up next, of course, and actually, Kershaw's up next. Why not, right? And Kershaw, what I'm hoping to see from them is a lot more made in the USA stuff because, look, Kershaw makes a bunch of knives in China that are okay. Some of them are decent enough. Some of them are really not so decent. But lately, they're made in the USA line. Things like the Link, the Dividend, etc. Those have been just knocking it out of the freaking park. The M390 Dividend, I actually have ordered. It's pre-ordered at the moment, just because it's a great knife and with a great steel. Oh, yeah. And so I really hope that they give this USA factory more fun designs, more material, they do more incredible stuff with it. And that they kind of lose some of that emphasis on the Chinese end, because let's face it, in terms of a cheap knife, they will not beat China on price. A Kershaw with American branding, American support, etc. will cost more than buying a Ryuki and whatnot. And so I'd love to see them compete on that budget end by making great knives in the States that are really, really incredible rather than by racing to the bottom and making really, really inexpensive Chinese knives that just aren't beating the really inexpensive knives by actual Chinese companies. That's, again, what the heck do I know? I don't know their bottom line, but that's kind of what I'd like to see is more from this same factory, because these are just doing incredible work and they're bridging that gap between Kershaw and ZT. Next is Ontario Knife and Tool. Actually, the Ontario is already done in the last few days, actually. The thing that I've been looking for most, which is to make the Ontario Rat number 2 here in D2 steel. This has been stuck in OS8 forever and ever and ever, and they have finally released it. Mine is on the way, or at least it's going to be shortly, and that's incredible. So really, Ontario, I'm good from you. You've done what you need, but I hope that they continue to do more things, that they continue on that budget end where they really can compete well. That'd be pretty excellent. Next is Medford knives. So Medford, I've said this a couple of times now, but I'm really impressed by their trajectory. Meaning that I first handled a Medford Micro Praetoria, Mini Praetorian that is, wasn't very impressive. No, it was a Micro, I guess. Wasn't very impressive. Then I handled the Marauder, where the fit and finish was a huge improvement upwards. Then I handled the Dress Marauder, where it was a bigger improvement upwards. I can see Medford on this really positive trajectory, and so if they continue doing what I'm seeing them doing already, which is moving a little bit more towards the mainstream, away from the shop and pry bars, that'll always be a thing for them, no doubt, but making knives that are more interesting. They're branching out a little bit would be nice. It'd be great to see some kind of new locking mechanism or something, even if it's, one that's out there. I'd love to see Medford do that, because I think that Medford knives, if they continue this trajectory, and they fixed the warranty policy, their latest warranty letter is reasonable. Look, I hope very much, and they up the materials, but I hope very much to see them continuing the trajectory I'm seeing them on. I mean, past results and future indications and whatnot, but still, that's kind of what I want to see out of Medford, is kind of more move towards that mainstream, where I think they really can compete once they get the materials up and to match that price point. So there you go. Spyderco. Spyderco for me, they have done a lot of stuff I don't love lately. Namely, they killed my freaking Sleesh Bowie. They discontinued the Spyderco Sleesh Bowie, which was the best knife they made, I think by a considerable margin. And in fact, they gutted their entire high-end line. At the end of 2017, their discontinued list was a bloodbath. They also raised their prices pretty substantially. Well, not substantially, like 8%. That's substantial. And they did raise them substantially on some models, like the Shaman, which went from $140 to $180, which, ooh, but you know what? It's still a gem. It's a good enough knife, but just barely. They're playing. But anyways, I digress. Spyderco completely just cut off the top end of their lineup entirely, and their new catalog didn't do a damn thing to fix it. Their catalog was completely devoid of the high end in a lot of ways. I mean, they had some high-end pieces, but they didn't drop anything that was like, oh, that's why. And so I'm hoping that at SHOT Show or some other point here soon, they drop something that will be impressive. Something like, I don't know, the Sleesh Swayback, that'd be great. Or even just another Resenti collab. I've heard, rumors here and there, but just do something else on that top end. Because right now, the lineup is very flush with things like G10 handle, the Shamans and the Delicas of the world. They're not doing much on that high end. And I hope that that's just we discontinued a lot of that stuff. Now here's the new stuff, rather than a changing, corporate priority. Because if the Taichung factory starts backing off of that stuff, the knife industry will really lose out. So from Spyderco, more than anything, I am hoping for a return on that high end. For them releasing some really great stuff like the Sleesh Swayback, just saying, Techno 2 maybe, based on the mouse. That'd be neat. I don't know, just floating. There you go. Steel Will. Steel Will is a company that is, they still haven't released a lot of what they announced last year at SHOT Show. And I'd love to see them they released a little lock called the Ant Lock. That is it's sort of a, I've never taken it apart, but it acts a lot like a bolt lock or something like that, where you have a little toggle on the side of the knife that pops it open and closed. Look, I think I'd love to see that happen. I'd love to see that finally hit the market, given they just now released the D2, the 3-inch D2 cut jack here. But, still, I hope that they finally get around to releasing what they did last year, and they don't make the mistake this year of releasing 1,000 different things that never actually come to fruition. Then finally, on my, predictions, desires side, ZT. So what I'm hoping out of ZT from, more than anything is diversity. I'm very much hoping that ZT drops some models that are a little bit out of their pattern. Maybe ZT could do something that's a little bit smaller. I think that would be great. Something that's really an aggressive slicer. That'd be excellent. I'd love to see ZT do something that is a little bit less high speed and a little bit lower in drag, or no, higher in drag, I suppose. I don't even know how that friggin' thing works. Anyways, I'd like to see them do something that's just like, oh, interesting. ZT is a little wider than that, because right now ZT is a very monotonous company. They make a series of knives that when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's a ZT, 100%. And, so I'd like to see them drop something that is a little bit outside of their general range and that shows a little bit of humor, ideally, or a little bit of breadth or something. It may be outside their corporate identity to, laugh, but whatever it is, that's what I'm hoping to see out of ZT, is something a little bit off that beaten path that they have beaten for themselves oh so well, and something that would actually make sense in the pocket of somebody like me, rather than just in the pocket of SEAL Team 6. So anyways, there you go. Those are my thoughts, my hopes, my fondest desires for Blade Show. Not predictions, because God knows everything I'm asking for is the stuff I want, not the stuff that they do. Maybe it's the stuff they do too. But, anyways, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.